Welcome to Sakhi Soul Stories, where women's voices rise in strength, resilience, and truth. Tonight's story is about courage that turns fear into power. This is the night she stood tall. It was just another Tuesday night. Sarah was walking home from her late shift at the cafe, her footsteps echoing through the quiet streets of downtown. The same route she'd taken hundreds of times before, but tonight felt different. The hairs on the back of her neck stood up as she heard another set of footsteps behind her. 6 months ago, her best friend had practically dragged her to those self-defense classes. "You never know when you might need it," she'd said. Sarah had rolled her eyes then, thinking it was just another overreaction. But now, with each step growing louder behind her, those lessons started flooding back. She remembered her instructor's words. "Your biggest weapon isn't your fists, it's your awareness." Sarah's heart was pounding, but her mind remained clear. She quickened her pace slightly, listening intently. The footsteps behind matched her new rhythm, classic predatory behavior, just like they'd discussed in class. Sarah took a deep breath, remembering another crucial lesson. The element of surprise works both ways. Most attackers expect fear, expect submission. They don't expect resistance. They don't expect power. The footsteps were closer now. Sarah could almost feel the presence behind her. In that moment, she had a choice. Be the victim they expected, or be the warrior she'd trained to become. She spun around suddenly, feet planted firmly in the defensive stance she'd practiced countless times. Her voice, strong and commanding, shattered the night's silence. "Stop, back off." The sound exploded from her chest, just as she'd been taught. Her hands were up, ready, her eyes locked onto the surprised face of a man who clearly wasn't expecting this response. He hesitated, that crucial moment of uncertainty they'd talked about in class. Sarah didn't wait to see what he'd do next. She struck the heel of her palm forward, another practiced move, creating space between them, then turned and ran toward the lit convenience store she knew was just around the corner. Her legs carried her swiftly, powered by adrenaline but guided by training. She didn't look back until she was inside the store, where the startled clerk was already reaching for the phone. Later that night, safe at home, Sarah sat on her bed, hands still shaking slightly. But this trembling wasn't from fear, it was from power. She had stood her ground. She had protected herself. She had transformed from potential victim to undeniable force. That night changed something in Sarah. She realized that self-defense wasn't about violence. It was about self-respect, about claiming your right to exist safely in this world. It was about standing tall when others try to make you small. Her body is her temple. Her courage is her shield, and now she walks with both head held high, not in defiance of danger, but in confidence of her own strength. Because sometimes, the most powerful form of self-defense is simply knowing, deep in your bones, that you are worth defending. This is Sakhi Soul Stories, where every woman's story is a torch of courage, lighting the path for others. Remember, your strength is not only your shield, it is your birthright. Walk tall, always.